Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. It's Joel with Inflatable Office. We have a release planned for tomorrow and just wanted to kind of go over the basics of it, some of the highlights today so that you can be prepared for it. We don't have anything that's majorly going to affect your daily operations this time, but it's still good to know what's going on. So the first one I wanted to go over with you is distance charges. Require separate vehicle option is now added. So what this means is that if you have a certain item that requires a whole vehicle by itself, and you want to like charge the delivery fee twice because you have to take multiple vehicles, you can turn that option on, and it'll just multiply it by the number of items in that order that have this setting on. So if, for example, we need a whole vehicle for this or something, you can go down to advanced. Down here is the settings at, so you can hit edit and just mark it as yes. So all of them that have no set will just take one vehicle. So if you have two or three of them that have marked yes, then they'll all each be their own vehicle, just so you know. All right. Reports. Custom option fields can now be added to a lead report. So this one is the optional fields. You can add your own custom ones down here at the bottom in case you weren't aware. So if you've added any of these type of questions, you can now include them in a lead report. I'll show you that real quick. Customize report, and then they will show up down here at the very bottom. So you can just add them to any report, and you'll have that data to export or use however you want it. We have 2 WordPress changes. We've added some internal monitoring, so if your website goes down or has an issue, we get notified, and then we can either fix it or let you know what you need to do. Next, we're starting to make some improvements to our all items and all categories pages. I don't know if I have an example ready, but let me see real quick here. I don't think I have an example ready for this, but normally it'll display if you have, no, this isn't even the right page, sorry. Yeah, so it'll just, normally this all items page will display all of your inventory on it, and it's just kind of, looks like it's in random order. So what we made a change where it'll now have the category listed above it, and then it'll be ordered by your category settings. So in order to make that change, there's some steps here you have to take. You'll need to update the plugin to the latest version. This is after we release tomorrow. You'll need to trash your all items page and the all items shortcode, and then just hit save on an item. So if I was to show you, this will make that all items page a lot more nice looking and useful. So you go to Inflatable Office, go to the shortcoder, your all items rental page. You can just trash it by dragging it over here, and you'll see that it's no longer there. And then the reason we don't have to recreate it is it automatically gets recreated, and it'll use the new default one that we've set. So the first step is you have to update the plugin to the latest version, and then when you trash it, it'll recreate it with the new setting. So as long as you haven't made any custom changes to it, you should be fine. And then you can go over to your inventory, and all you have to do is just hit edit and save any of your items, and it'll automatically resync that page and correct it. So I don't have an example of it set up for now, but if you're interested in doing that, that's the process for it. All right, surveys. We're starting to make a lot of changes to our surveys. You'll see kind of visually that looks a little different. Let me see here, surveys. All right. So anyway, you can now see it's got a nice new interface, and also you can go back and have the customer can edit previous responses they've made. You can also now create your own survey. So before we have this setting here under setting service and training, you can make your own trainings for your workers. We call them quizzes. It's a little confusing, but you can make your own quiz, and then it could be used for training for your workers. Now you can make a survey, which is intended for customers. So you can send those out through emails, for example, as a follow-up to ask them follow-up questions or anything like that. And it'll all be gathered under that survey tab. Quote page, you can have the quote page act like a shopping cart by passing in clear rentals equals 0. So this is kind of just a special use case scenario. If you, for some reason, don't want to have a shopping cart on your website, but you still kind of want to have that behavior, what you can do is, so we have this, when you hit book now, it can go over to the quote form, and it only has that one item in it. And if I went to some other item, I went back to some other item and hit book now, then it's just going to show that particular item and not the first one you clicked. So if you wanted to retain them all, you would add here in the URL for that book now, clear rentals equals 0. And then whenever you click it, it'll have added it to the cart. And then later, if we come for some other item, and you come back to this page, it'll keep that same one in there that it had before. So I might type something in wrong, but it's kind of a special case scenario. Most people won't be using it that way. They'll have the shopping cart on their website and they won't need it. But in case you need it, that's available. Lead filter, you can filter by custom fields of type select. So before, when you were doing the lead filters, you could filter by those custom fields that I showed you earlier under optional field. You could add new ones there, like, are there any stairs? You can filter by the yes, no ones. So if you've created one for a drop-down select, you can now do those as well. So for example, I have one set up here for event type, and I can use that for filtering. So here we go. And we already talked about the testimonials one. Oh, no, we didn't. Okay, so testimonials, one minor change is when a customer fills out those customer satisfaction surveys. Before, it would not create it as a testimonial, and you'd still have to go over and manually do that. So we're getting one step closer here. Now it'll actually add it as a testimonial. It'll just be inactive. And we've got some future plans to make it a little easier to activate these. So this is kind of just the first step to it. So if I created a new one, it'll now be created here, but active no. So if you wanted to turn it on, you'd still just have to come in here, hit edit, mark it to active yes, and save. So we also have a number of bug fixes. The only one that I thought was worth mentioning today was the blacklist one. So we've had issues where someone will be on the blacklist. You didn't want to have them, you didn't want to do an event with that customer again the next time, and so you would blacklist them, but then they would create a quote and use a different phone number or name or something, and it wouldn't be detected. So what we did now is that if the name matches or the phone number matches or the email matches, but it's still making a new customer profile, the new profile will also be blacklisted. And that is so that when you go to look at that lead, it'll warn you that they're on the blacklist, even though it appears to be a different customer. So if any of those things match, it'll detect it. Now, if everything's different, then obviously we can't figure that one out, even if it's the same street address. So like it could be a different person at the same address at like a park or something, and we wouldn't be able to key just on that address. So that's why we didn't match on that one. I'll leave this open for a minute for you to review. The plan is to have this release out tomorrow morning sometime, and you'll get notified on your interface of that. And if you have any questions before then, just let us know, and hopefully it'll be useful stuff for you guys. So thanks for joining me.